Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Keyforge and the state of buy 3 weeks after release. Okay, so we are 3 weeks after the release of Keyforge. I really love Keyforge. It's a fantastic game. I purchased 10 decks. I own one deck myself, and I've given one deck to every single member of my family, and one more to one member of my family. So and I have 6 people in my family, and so I own 3 unopened decks. And one of the things that's really interesting is I don't feel a strong need to buy a whole lot more decks right now, and the only reason why is we have what we need to play, and actually what I really need right now is more opportunities to play the game with new and other people rather than more decks. But I just want to talk about, I'm really fascinated about everything surrounding Keyforge. And one of the things I want to talk about today is how is the game selling? How is it doing commercially, right? Now, I'm going to say this right now. I'm used to being in the tabletop game space with these kind of things, where I think with video games, there's like, it's such a large industry, and people will make statements like, oh, there's 4 million copies of this sold, or even 20 million copies of this sold. But we absolutely never get those numbers in tabletop games, and the reason why is it's a niche market, and compared to video games, a lot of these, it's embarrassing for a lot of these companies to say these low numbers, and people buy things when they think that other people are buying things, right? So it's been hard to see exactly what the sell rate is for Keyforge, but I'm paying attention to as many clues as I possibly can. All right, so the first thing that I got to see was I go to different FLGSs, friendly local game shops in my area, and I went to an FLGS in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, and I went to an LGS an FLGS in Haddonfield, New Jersey, and both of them had Keyforge on the shelf, and that was about a week out, and that surprised me because I thought, okay, this should just completely sell out, right? But it didn't. It was still on the shelf, so that was the first clue. Now, and then some of my friends were buying it, but many of my friends still had no idea what the game was, and it didn't seem like the game had much momentum, right? Well, just this last weekend, I went to PAX Unplugged 2018, which is a huge East Coast gaming convention. It had about 50,000 people. It was really, really large, and in Philadelphia, and I got to see what was happening there. So they ran Keyforge tournaments all week long. You could buy into Keyforge tournaments all week long, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Cool Stuff Inc. had actually brought decks specifically for the purpose of buying into the tournaments. It looked to me like there was an upcharge on those tournaments. So they were teaching you how to play, but you weren't buying the decks just at retail. It was an upcharge. It looked like it was actually $20 to play in these tournaments. But there might have been some other, but at least minimum you're getting at least one deck for that, and there was prize support. You might have gotten, and I think that was it, right? Which was really surprising to me, right? And then Cool Stuff Inc. had, I'm pretty sure that's the company that was running those tourneys. They were running tournaments all weekend, so you could play Keyforge the whole weekend. But Saturday, halfway through the day, they had put up a sign saying absolutely no Keyforge is available for retail purchase. We are just running these demos. You can get into the demo. You can get into these pods, these tournament pods, and which were new player friendly, but you were paying an upcharge for the decks. Okay. Then at the end of the con, I went to Cool Stuff Inc. and I tried to buy a game called Century Spice Road, which had sold out. And just in that conversation, I was having with the representative for Cool Stuff Inc. We talked about Century Spice Road, and he said to me, oh, it's sold, that game sold out. Sorry, we don't have it. You can get it online, right? And I said, oh wow, that's exciting. So it must be one of those hot new games. And he said, yeah, just like Keyforge. I said, oh really? You guys brought Keyforge to the tournament? He said, yeah, we brought 600 decks available to purchase at retail price. And those decks sold out in 3 hours, right? Right. So their 600 decks of Keyforge sold out in 3 hours at PAX Unplugged 2018. All right, so the game is absolutely grabbing momentum and beginning to sell well, it looks like to me, from these various clues. And right now, this is what we get, because you're not going to see these numbers published by almost anybody. And it's just like Netflix. Like, they like holding these numbers close to their vest and making and controlling the narrative on what's said about their product, right? Which I totally understand. I get that, right? But one of the things that was interesting was so all that's going on. So as soon as I got home, I'm like, okay, right after the game released, I went on and you could buy decks for $9.99. Here's the thing now: many retailers, many online retailers, what I'm seeing right now for PAX Unplugged, for Keyforge, right now, if you go online, you can still buy Keyforge 3 weeks out, but not at retail price. So all the online retailers that I could find right now are, and I think this is most of them, they're either sold out, or you can buy. I saw 2 different purveyors that had it, and they could ship it to you, and you would get it in time for Christmas, but you were paying $12 a deck, and one place was charging $15 a deck. That is a 20% and a 50% retail upcharge, which is really incredible. And that's only 3 weeks after release. So I think Keyforge is getting traction and is beginning to sell. One thing I thought was really interesting about all of this is I expected this game to hit like a comet. Everybody was going to buy it up, and Keyforge would be gone right away. And then it would be sold out in the first week, and then we would see very sharp rises, and you would have a hard time getting decks for Christmas. I definitely applaud FFG, Fantasy Flight Games, because it looks like they printed enough to meet demand fairly well. Not as well as I would like. I would like to see retail availability all the way through Christmas, but I understand you can't always do that, and I'm glad the product is available for Christmas. That's not a small achievement, and I'm proud of FFG for being able to supply the game and for there being, at minimum, thousands and thousands and thousands of decks available. We really don't know the number of decks that are available out there. By the way, if anybody has more information than me, I invite you to let us know in the comments section. I would love to update my statistics, because I really am just fascinated with how well Keyforge is selling. But the reason I think why it is taking some time, and I know it sounds like taking some time, it's only 3 weeks out, but the reality is, some of Nintendo's products or many mainstream products will sell out right off the shelves as soon as they hit. And we haven't seen that with Keyforge. Keyforge still has some availability, right? And so I think one of the reasons why is when Magic the Gathering came out in 1993, it was quickly seen as a huge change in the industry as soon as people saw what it was. And it just swept the board. Like, it really cleared games out. In just a few years, to explain how powerful Magic the Gathering was. Magic the Gathering came out in 1993, and I think Magic the Gathering, in 5 years, they had made so much money from the collectible card game Magic the Gathering that Wizards of the Coast, virtually a brand new company, a small gaming company, purchased Dungeons & Dragons outright. Like, just bing, 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 here's a few million, we'll take that property. That's incredible. That is just incredible to think, how quickly they made that money. Now, here's the thing. I think Keyforge is going slower to get momentum, and the reason why is back in 1993, the amount of games that Magic the Gathering was competing with was very minimal compared to what there is now. There are incredibly high number of incredibly good quality games. Excuse me. And that is going to make it hard for Keyforge to grow very, very quickly. So, when you release a game product in 2018, There are literally, at minimum, hundreds of incredibly high-quality games that people are trying to build communities for. And these are not bottom-of-the-barrel games. There are thousands of bottom-of-the-barrel games that still take some gameplay away from these bigger games. But the reality is, Magic the Gathering competed with, Monopoly and, a few other minor games. There just really wasn't that much as far as tabletop games. Compared to today, we just have a huge, much, much larger pool of very good games that are all trying to build communities. And so it's harder to get any product to sell as quickly as products sold in 1993 because they have to cut through the fog, right? But I think that's what's happening right now. I think Keyforge is starting to cut through the fog, and I think that's a very good thing. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. What is the clues you've seen for how well Keyforge is selling 3 weeks out from its release? And let me know your thoughts on what I've said here. Please give me any further, elaborate if you have any additional information. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. And please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you.